If you're not caught up, you're in the right place. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. The NBA offseason got even crazier last week. Let's get into it. Okay, so last week we talked about the Giannis trade, and at the end of that story, I mentioned that Boston tried to get Giannis and lost out to Miami, and that Jaylen Brown, their star player, was offered up as part of that deal and probably wasn't thrilled about it. Well, things moved fast. Jaylen Brown has been traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, his own division rival, a team that just eliminated the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs 2 months ago. Boston shipped their franchise cornerstone, their 2024 Finals MVP, to one of their biggest rivals, and the NBA lost its mind. Let's back up a little so casual fans have the full picture. Jaylen Brown spent 10 years in Boston. He was drafted 3rd overall in 2016, grew up in that organization, became a 5-time All-Star, and 2 years ago led the Celtics to an NBA championship, winning Finals MVP in the process. He averaged 28.7 points a game this past season, largely without his co-star Jason Tatum, who missed out most of the year with an injury. Brown carried that team almost by himself. And then Boston traded him to Philadelphia for Paul George, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. The reaction around the league was basically, what just happened? Even the analysts who follow this stuff every day were stunned. One report described it as Boston getting measly first-rounders off the floor in exchange for one of their franchise players. Another said the Celtics could have waited for a better offer. The consensus is that Boston did not get fair value, not even close. But here's the part that makes this really interesting. Brown never asked for a trade. He didn't demand out. He didn't pull a Giannis. Boston's front office made this call on their own. They decided they wanted to move in a different direction and started full-blown shopping Brown around the league according to ESPN, and Brown found out the same way the rest of us did. His statement the next day said everything. He posted on social media, "I'm still processing how this all went down. I'm excited and disappointed at the same time. I earned my respect from this city. I never asked for shortcuts or special treatment. I simply showed up every day, put my head down, and accepted every challenge." That's not a statement of a guy who wanted out. That's a statement of a guy who got blindsided. Now, what does this mean for Philadelphia? The 76ers now have Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. On paper, that's a terrifying trio. Maxey was the 5th leading scorer in the league this past season, Embiid is a 2-time scoring champion, and Brown is a Finals MVP who just averaged nearly 29 points a game. If all 3 of those guys are healthy at the same time, and that is a big if with Embiid's injury history, Philadelphia becomes an instant contender. And here's a detail that's almost too perfect. Before the trade, Brown went on a live stream and called Embiid a flopper. His exact words are, "Joel Embiid is a great player, one of the best bigs in basketball history. Flopping." He knows it. This ain't breaking news. And now they're teammates. Nobody knows how that dynamic plays out, but it's going to be one of the most watched storylines of next season. Now, what about Boston? What do they get out of this? Honestly, not much right now. Paul George was a disaster in Philadelphia, and they're inheriting that contract. But they do get 2 first-round picks in 2028 and 2031, and 2 second-rounders. The idea is that Boston is essentially blowing up their current core and starting fresh. Jason Tatum is still there. He's still one of the best players in the league when healthy. But the Celtics clearly decided that the Brown and Tatum pairing had run its course after winning a championship together, and they'd rather rebuild around Tatum alone than keep paying both of them. And look, part of Boston's thinking here is that Brown was due for a massive contract extension. We're talking max money long term. They decided they didn't want to pay that, whether that's smart cap management or just a bad trade dressed up in financial logic. That's for you to decide. Whether that turns out to be the right call is something we'll be debating for years. And one more thing before we wrap up. LeBron James is currently a free agent, and after this trade, the 76ers immediately became one of the teams LeBron's camp is reportedly interested in. Brown, Maxey, Embiid, and LeBron on the same roster? That's not a team. That's a problem for the rest of the league. Nothing is confirmed yet, but if that happens, it'll be the biggest story of the summer. We'll cover it the second something drops. So to recap, Jaylen Brown, 2024 Finals MVP, 10-year Celtic, traded to his division rival for a 36-year-old who got suspended for failing a drug test. Brown said he's excited and disappointed. Boston thinks this is the right move. Philadelphia thinks they just became a contender. and the NBA is somewhere between confused and thrilled. This offseason has been absolutely wild, and we're just over 3 weeks into it. Alright, that's your week. Drop a comment and let me know. Do you think Boston made the right call? And if LeBron ends up in Philadelphia, are the 76ers the favorites next season? Subscribe if you haven't already. We're back every Monday. I'll see you next week.